Welcome to Camnet TV Main News. I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. The headlines. 8 candidates eye the Patriotic Front presidency. Abductors of the 13 girls have been officially slapped with charges. Police advised against human rights violation when enforcing the Public Order Act. And in international news, school children in Uganda test positive for Ebola. And in sports, Green Buffaloes geared for the CAF Women's Champions League. Details coming through after this commercial.
You know I can take her a bit.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti on your birthday.
Really?
I'm quiet. My name is Yana.
Don't worry, man. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You heard me.
Not just any kind of insurance, but Savenda General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company, but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that Savenda General Insurance has got you covered. Savenda General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
Are you going in grade 6, 8, 10 or 11 in 2023? Waste no time. Born for Greatness Tuition Center will be opening to the public in Kablonga, Lusaka. Quality and experienced teachers guaranteed. Limited space available. Call and book for your child now on
0962 382535.
Classes are starting on 5th December 2022. Born for Greatness Tuition Center. Learning for reigning in life.
And other main news in detail. 48 cooperatives in Lusaka's Kabwata constituency have benefited from the 1.9 million 2022 disbursement of the Constituency Development Fund allocation under the component of Youths, Women and Community Empowerment Grants. Kabwata constituency Member of Parliament Andrew Tayengwa has implored beneficiaries to use the money for the intended purposes, adding that they will be monitoring the implementation projects. Meanwhile, Lusaka District Commissioner Rosa Zulu cautioned the beneficiaries against squandering the money, but invest wisely to sustain their livelihood.
It was a day of joy for the 48 cooperatives in Lusaka's Kabwata constituency as they benefited from the over 1.9 million kwacha 2022 disbursement of the Constituency Development Fund CDF allocation under the component of Youth, Women and Community Empowerment Grants. CDF is believed to be the game changer in terms of community development, and in the 2023 national budget, it has been increased from 25.7 million kwacha to 28.3 million kwacha. The Kabwata Constituency CDF Committee underscored that the process of selecting beneficiaries was transparent.
45 cooperatives applied for the CDF empowerment grants, and the 48 were successfully, and today we are witnessing the handover of the dam check to the beneficiaries for Youth, Women and Community Empowerment Grants in Kabwata constituency. I am pleased to inform you not all is lost. However, for those that were not successful under grants, as they still have another opportunity to apply for CDF empowerment loans.
And Kabwata Constituency Member of Parliament called on the beneficiaries to use the money for the intended purposes.
I want to urge those who have received or who are going to receive the grants to please consider working as a unit, because where there is unity, there you see a blessing and you'll be able to progress. But if you are going to work divided, then that cooperative is bound to fail. So let's unite. Let's ensure that the plans that we had, is it 6 months ago, they should be the same plans that we should utilize these funds. Let's stop the issue of wanting to say, no.
And officiating the event, Lusaka District Commissioner Rosa Zulu warned cooperatives against squandering the money.
Your prudent utilization of these funds shall be a yardstick to determine the viability and sustainability of this empowerment program. The same way you cooperated when applying for these funds is the same way you are expected to coordinate as you utilize these monies. This money is not for you to leave your homes. Chairperson Mao, you leave your home, you go for another catch. You leave your home because of the money which the government has struggled to give you. Will not allow this. We expect development.
And the beneficiaries who spoke to us have pledged to use the money in accordance with their proposals.
People thought that when CDF was announced, Benzona Monga, Nimasovera, or maybe it will not come to pass. But with us, there's a Tina Faka poetry, and we are equal to the task. So CDF is really working and is in the
money should be shared, but as for us, we have already started the project because we have got some youths we want to help, because some people are doing some small businesses. From there, we want to help the community to benefit. That's what we want as like our cooperative. But the money for CDF, it's real, it's there. As our names was there, and we are just from receiving the check.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
2 suspects in the abduction of the mobile money booth attendant Pamela Chisumpa and 12 others, namely James Mulenga and Matthews Sikaonga, have been slapped with 4 counts of aggravated robbery, abduction, rape and assault. Briefing the media on the case Friday, Zambia Police Deputy Public Relations Officer Danny Mwale says both suspects, aged 22, have been charged and arrested in the matter, where 13 victims were recently rescued from a house in Woodlands, Chalala area. Citizens have been eagerly awaiting justice on the matter, which astonished the country as some of the girls had been missing for months.
Investigations have deepened in the matter, where 13 abducted girls were discovered in a house of Lusaka's Chalala area, among them a mobile money booth attendant Pamela Chisumpa, who had been missing for about 6 months. Both social and traditional media were set ablaze after the girls were discovered closed up in one house and were reportedly suffering all kinds of abuse at the hands of the abductors, who were demanding ransom from their families after police had been searching for the missing mobile money booth attendant, not knowing that other girls too had been abducted.
I reached the door, I saw someone wearing black and he just went out of thin air, just like that. And then we started helping the ladies to come out one by one, until we helped the pregnant woman to come out of the household.
How many were there?
There were about 7 or 6 somewhere there. And they are saying that the male was killed, and then the other female, I don't know where they took the body. I'm not quite sure of the one who owns this house, but what I noticed in the house, they've got like a shrine, they've got a coffin there, there's blood, there's okay, it's horrible.
Since the uncovering of the criminal's hiding place, various revelations and opinions have been given on the matter by family and friends of the victims, as well as the general citizenry, as the matter took the country by shock. While a number of people have been named in the criminal case, the Zambia police say they have now formally arrested and charged 2 suspects, namely James Mulenga and Matthew Sikaonga. Zambia Police Deputy Public Relations Officer Danny Mwale made this revelation Friday.
He charged and arrested the 2 suspects involved in the abduction of the 13 girls. The suspects were identified as James Mulenga, aged 22, and Matthew Sikaonga, also aged 22. They have been charged with the following offenses: aggravated robbery, abduction, rape, and assault. The suspects will appear in court soon.
Meanwhile, investigations into the case have continued as citizens await closure on the matter. Zipora Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Southern African Center for the Constructive Resolution of Dispute, SACOLD, has urged the Zambia police to prioritize the upholding of human rights, even as it will be applying the Public Order Act, which is currently under reforms. Meanwhile, Zambia Police Deputy Inspector General Doris Nayambe has implored the Zambia Police Service to exercise high levels of professionalism and put matters of national interest first, even as duties are executed. The duo was speaking during the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, by SACOLD, the Zambia Police, and the Geneva Center for Security Sector Governance, aimed at training the Zambia Police in good practice to end unnecessary brutality and the infringing of human rights.
The enforcing of the Public Order Act by the Zambia Police and the upholding of human rights are two aspects that have always been in conflict, especially during periods like elections, as observed by concerned parties both local and international. The ongoing reformation of the Public Order Act in Zambia has been seen as an opportunity to correct the prevailing situation, not only by sensitizing citizens on their human rights, but also on training the Zambia Police Service to exercise high levels of professionalism. The Southern African Center for the Constructive Resolution of Disputes, SACOLD, the Geneva Center for Security Sector Governance, and the Zambia Police have therefore signed a Memorandum of Understanding which will see a transformed police service to apply the Public Order Act fairly. Speaking during the ceremony, SACOLD Executive Director Boniface Chembe says the upholding of human rights is key in police upholding professionalism.
That once the new law is in place, our partnership will seek to ensure that implementation will be citizen-centered, with due respect given to the observance, promotion, and protection of human rights. In addition, our strategic partnership will provide and facilitate for platforms that not only build capacities of different stakeholders, but also allow for peaceful dialogue to take root.
Meanwhile, Geneva Center for Security Sector Governance Senior Programs Manager Alexander Burton has called on police to minimize the use of force.
One is necessity of use of force. You only really use any form of contact with anyone if it's absolutely necessary, and only if it's to prevent further or greater risks otherwise. The other is proportionality. So if the risk is small, the use of force should be small or none.
Representing the Swedish Embassy, Susanna Hughes says Zambia should be commended for committing to reform the Public Order Act.
Today's important roundtable will provide a space for dialogue on emerging opportunities, challenges, and needs. Democracy gives room for different voices to be heard and respected. Media, civil society, young people, and many others contribute with their engagement and scrutiny of power.
Gracing the occasion, Zambia Police Deputy Inspector General Doris Nayambe is positive that the Zambia Police will meet expectations.
Reflecting on key operation doctrine and practices and development of effective tools, processes and safeguards. Distinguished guests, it is envisaged that the cooperation between the three parties will alleviate the current challenges faced in the management of Public Order Act, the rule of law, respect for human rights, and subsequently creating an enabling environment for economic and social development for all.
The MOU will see the Zambia Police undergoing several trainings to meet internationally accepted practices. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Former Secretary to the Treasury Fritz Onyamba and his co-accused former Foreign Affairs Minister Joseph Malanji have once more raised the preliminary issue before the Economic Financial Crimes Court to move the matter. They are jointly charged to the Lusaka High Court for determination of whether they will receive a fair trial under the circumstances of insufficient details of the charges. In this case, the duo is facing corruption-related charges involving failure to comply with the law and possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime.
In May 2022, former Secretary to the Treasury Fritz Onyamba made an application before Lusaka Principal Magistrate, at the time Jennifer Walia, before her transfer that his matter be referred to the Lusaka High Court to determine on whether the two charges of willful failure to comply with the law relating to management of public property violated his right to a fair trial as guaranteed by Article 18 of the Constitution. However, the magistrate then dismissed the said application, and after a transfer, the case was reallocated to a different magistrate, which saw the earlier charge sheet being amended once again. Mr. Yamba is accused of having failed to follow procedure in relation to the buying of an estate in Turkey, and his counterpart, former Foreign Affairs Minister Joseph Malanji, is accused of being in possession of houses, a hotel, and helicopter property reasonably suspected to be proceeds of crime. In his latest court case, Mr. Yamba, who is jointly charged with Mr. Malanji, has once more made a similar application before the fast-track court, presided by Magistrate Irene Wishimanga. The duo wants the court to move their corruption-related case to the High Court for determination of whether they will receive a fair trial under the circumstances of insufficient details of the charges. Counsel representing Mr. Yamba has submitted that the recent amended charge sheet does not contain sufficient details for the two counts that he is facing in order to enable him prepare for his defense. Further, that the charge sheet abrogates Section 136 of the CPC as it does not meet any of the criteria of requirement of being jointly charged, arguing that there is no way the two accused can be jointly charged if the charge sheet does not clearly state so. The defense have since admitted that the two should be tried separately. And in response, the state has argued that the charge sheet in relation to the first accused has fulfilled the required legal provision and it has sufficient details to enable the accused properly defend himself. The matter has been adjourned to the 18th of November 2022 for ruling. Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
The opposition Patriotic Front PF has continued receiving nomination papers for candidates vying for the presidential seat that fell vacant after former President Edgar Lungu retired from active politics when he lost power to the current administration during the 12th August 2021 general elections. PF Media Director Antonio Mwanza says 8 candidates are vying for the leadership position of the party. The latest candidate to file in his nomination Friday afternoon was former Ron Member of Parliament Chishimba Kambwidi, who said he was a bona fide member of the PF party and qualifies to contest for the top position.
As the Patriotic Front Party is racing against time to host its elective general conference to elect the party president to take over from former Republican and party president Edgar Lungu, so far 8 people are eyeing for the top leadership position of the party. Among those, Porokonso Area Member of Parliament Brian Mundubile, Manza Area Member of Parliament Shitalu Chilufya, former Kawata Area Member of Parliament Given Lubinda, Matero Area Member of Parliament Mao Sampa, former Ron Area Member of Parliament Chishimba Kambudi, Patriotic Front Member of the Central Committee Geoffrey Walyamwamba and Emmanuel Mwamba. The party continued where it ended from yesterday, receiving nomination papers for the candidates vying for the presidential seat that fell vacant after former President Edgar Lungu retired from active politics when he lost power to the current administration during the 12th August 2021 general elections. The latest candidate to file his nomination Friday afternoon was Dr. Kambuli, who presented a copy of a deposit slip of the 200,000 kwacha nominations which accompanied his application letter as required by the party for one to be considered for the nominations. And addressing the media shortly after his nominations were accepted, Dr. Kambuli promised to continue with the legacy of the late President Michael Sata.
And indeed, PF has lived the pro-poor agenda. And I know and believe that the people of Zambia will now believe latukwa linsoke takwa freely bantu. When we were campaigning Secretary General, we told the people of Zambia, particularly myself, I said some people may wonder and say, you have gone back to PF. You see, in life, there is what we call a better devil. When I went to the other side, I found that the policies and programs were worse than I've ever thought. And it was only reasonable that I come back home, reunite with my family, and forge the proper agenda to take the country forward. But when we told the people of Zambia that today I'm sure the people believe that
Dr. Kambuli was followed by Mansa area Member of Parliament Dr. Chitalu Chirufya and former Ambassador to Ethiopia Emmanuel Mwamba, who filed their nomination papers also for consideration to take over the vacant position of the party president.
And my pledge to the people, the youth family of the Patriotic Front Party, that I will respect the outcome of this intra-party process. My wish is for the Patriotic Front Party to rebrand, to regain power, and ensure that we lift the people of this country out of poverty by translating the natural resources that we have as a nation into wealth and equitably distributed.
Similarly, Mr. Mao Sampa Mundubile and GBM, among others, filed their nomination papers yesterday. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Former President Edgar Lungu has advised the Patriotic Front members to respect the will of the Zambian people. Speaking during a memorial mass for the late former President Michael Sata at the Embassy Park in Lusaka Friday, President Lungu advised party members not to allow selfishness to rule above the interest of the Zambian people. President Lungu, who spoke through the acting PF party president, Given Luminda, says President Sata was a unique leader who always put the interests of Zambians first above party politics.
Thousands of Patriotic Front members, leaders of the opposition, and Lusaka residents gathered at the Presidential Embassy Park in Lusaka at the 8th memorial ceremony of the late founding father of the PF party, Michael Chilufya Sata, who was also Zambia's 5th Republican president. Mr. Sata died as a sitting president in 2014 at King Edward's VII's Hospital in London at the age of 77. And St. Ignatius Assistant Parish Priest Godfrey Mulenga, who led the family, friends and party official in a mass service in remembrance of the late Mr. Sata, has wondered why the former President Edgar Lungu and President Hakainde Hichilema have failed to dialogue.
You are the only two people who belong to an exclusive club called the Presidential Club. No one has been to that club. As I'm looking at you, I'm asking, why? You have never sat together to talk as brothers. And I know I don't like this. Hey, Lungu say this, hey, say this. We have prayed. I see one. I'm fasting. I'm still with Joshua. I'm ready. What do you want me to do?
In family, Representative Chanda Kasolo accused the ruling UPND administration of shunning the memorial service of the late 5th head of state.
As a Sata family, we recognize Michael was president for all Zambians, irrespective of tribe, race, or religion. And therefore, we couldn't say who can't come to an event like this. I even said to the minister, even he was welcome to be here. And he's not. So, ladies and gentlemen, that note was written by some notorious character who thought that they can spoil our day. Also to find an excuse for people who are not PF not to come here.
Meanwhile, Zambia's President Edgar Lungu, who spoke through the party acting president Given Luminda, advised party members to respect the will of the people.
I advise you, as a former head of state, that always hear the people, as it is often an inescapable truth that the voice of the people
is the voice of God. However, regardless of what is expedient, all of you collectively have a duty to respect the will of the people, the will of God. End of quote. Those are the words from His Excellency Edgar Chagwalungu to all of us.
The event did, however, not go down without the former head of state greeting the Zambians.
The priest spoke. I think Brother Chandakasoro spoke, and I think Comrade Given has spoken, and he spoke for me. So I don't need to ice this cake with anything because I may mess it up. Thank you very much.
The former President Edgar Lungu then proceeded to lead other party officials, opposition leaders, the family of the late Mr. Sata, and others in laying of wreath at the gravesite of President Sata. May his soul continue to rest in eternal peace. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
In other news, a decomposed body of an unidentified male has been discovered in Lai area along the Esther Lungu Road. The body, which was discovered on Thursday evening after passersby noticed a strange smell, was only removed Friday, 28th October 2022, due to the delay by the pathologist to visit the crime scene. Police Deputy Spokesperson Danny Mwale says police, working with the Lusaka City Council, have buried the body in a shallow grave awaiting post-mortem. He says the man, who is suspected to be between the age of 30 and 35 years, is suspected to have been murdered and dumped at the said place.
The high levels of criminality being witnessed in the country leaves much to be desired, as Zambia is known to be a peaceful country with a tag of being a Christian nation. What is more worrying is that the perpetrators of most criminal acts have walked scot-free, while the families of the victims have been left broken and shattered. This is the case in Lusaka's Lilai area, where a decomposed body of a male suspected to be between the age of 30 to 35 was Thursday discovered. The body had to spend one more night in the dark, as it could not be moved because the pathologist had not yet visited the crime scene. And a check by Camnet News today Friday at the crime scene found the scene secured by the police, while the body had a rope tied along its neck and stab wounds, a sign that it might have been murdered before being brought to this place. And police deputy spokesperson Danny Mwale confirmed to this reporter that the man is suspected to have been murdered before being dumped at the scene. The police, working with the Lusaka City Council, have since picked up the body and buried it in a shallow grave awaiting post-mortem.
An unidentified man aged between 30 and 35 was found dead in a decomposed state in Lusaka's Lilai area. Police, working together with Lusaka City Council, have since buried the remains and marked the grave, awaiting post-mortem. The cause of death, police are suspecting murder, so we have opened up an inquiry file as investigations are ongoing.
For now, the identity of the man remains unknown, and his family has no idea what has happened to their beloved one. We will, however, continue to follow the matter and hope the perpetrators will be brought to book. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Zambia National Education Coalition, ZANEC, has urged the Ministry of Education to consider a blended learning approach past the COVID-19 era, which will help pupils have access to both traditional and online methods of learning. In an interview, Coalition Executive Director George Hamsunga says this can be done by schools entering an agreement with mobile network providers to provide free internet services to schools with online learning platforms. He notes that some mobile network providers that have been engaged by the coalition have already shown interest in providing free internet to schools, which will also aid in the learning of information communications technology, ICTS. The ZANEC Executive Director notes that embracing a blended learning approach will help in attaining equal access to education for all.
But unfortunately, our research also has shown that, the main barriers to remote learning, is the high cost of internet. And it is for this reason that, ZANEC brought together, the internet service providers to discuss with them, options for them to zero rate access to, education content online. And we have established that, through that engagement, of course, we have established that, the service providers actually are willing to support our schools, to establish, online platforms that they can, help, learners, access them at no cost. But this has to be done and coordinated by the Ministry of Education, of course in conjunction with the service providers, to ensure that we do not leave any school out, because we know that there are some schools that do not have the capacity, for instance, to develop online content for their learners. And therefore it is incumbent upon the Ministry of Education, for instance, to start working on common online platforms that children from various schools can access, without necessarily paying for, the cost of the internet.
You're watching Camnet TV Main News. We take our first set of commercials. We'll be back with more after this.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Are you going in grade 6, 8, 10 or 11 in 2023? Waste no time. Born for Greatness Tuition Center will be opening to the public in Kablonga, Lusaka. Quality and experienced teachers guaranteed. Limited space available. Call and book for your child now on
0962 382535.
Classes are starting on 5th December 2022. Born for Greatness Tuition Center, learning for reigning in life.
Thank you for staying with us. We continue with the rest of the main news. Minister of Finance and National Planning, Dr. Stumbeko Msokotwane, has charged that the Patriotic Front had destroyed the mining sector due to the tax regime they introduced during their tenure of office. The minister has told Parliament that it is disappointing to note that the opposition has been accusing the UPND administration of giving excessive tax holidays to the mining sector when in fact the mines were destroyed. Mr. Msokotwane says PF was supposed to have carried a post-mortem on itself on why the mines were closing during their tenure of office as opposed to other administration. He says new mining investments are now opening up in the country due to the good mining policies that his administration has introduced.
The colleagues on the left, they've been accusing this government of giving excessive concessions in the mining sector. And they're doing that because it's so easy. It is one way of just inciting the public, especially those who don't understand these things, to raise emotions So let me address that conclusively, Mr. Speaker. The tax that the PF introduced, it was an abnormal tax. If you went anywhere else in the world to look at the taxation regimes, no one was taxing like the PF. And the reason why they were taxing like that is because they induced this debt crisis. And in the middle of the debt crisis, they realized that the country was running out of money. So what is the answer in their view? Irresponsible tax, provided it brings money. Not only that, they left behind about now $750 million of tax refunds that we have to pay back to the mining taxation. So they left the industry in tatters because of the taxation system, which this government now must correct.
Yeah.
And to demonstrate that the direction that we've taken is correct, contrary to the previous times when the mines were closing, now within a few months of realigning this tax, you've heard the investment of $1.3 billion from First Quantum. You've heard the story that the new nickel mine is being opened, which will be the biggest in Africa.
Chabuka Traditional Ceremony National Chairman Colonel James Kunda says traditional ceremonies are key towards preserving culture and heritage of the country. The Chabuka is a crossing point from the Democratic Republic of Congo into Zambia in Matanda Chiefdom in Manza District. Colonel Kunda says the Chabuka traditional ceremony, which is celebrated by the Ushi people of Luapula province, will be marked on the 5th of November 2022 and has called on Zambians to attend the ceremony. He said the site is historic and significant as many tribes currently present in Zambia crossed into Zambia from Congo through the same point. Colonel Kunda adds that the event could be used as a uniting factor of all the tribes that crossed into Zambia through the same point.
Because if you look at Luapula River, I'm sure it's quite wide. You can't just, it's not 20 meters, 30, 40 or 100 meters. It's quite between 200 or 300 meters wide. So you require somebody actually to show you where to step and so that you don't injure other people. So this ceremony actually is just about the passion the Ush people showed their brothers and sisters who remained behind, who didn't come earlier to Zambia. They remained in Congo for quite some time, and now they started now also following the Ush people who had earlier left Lubalunda Empire and settled mostly part of, I can just say the entire Mansa town, then part of Samfia, then part of Mwense, and part of Chipiri, so and part of Chembe. These are the tribes who crossed from, who came all the way from Lubalunda Empire in the Paramount Chief Mwatiamvwa to come and settle into Zambia today. So we celebrate only the first week of, the first Saturday of November, which is in this year. We are celebrating on the 5th November. We could not celebrate the past few years because of the COVID. You remember there was that disease which almost engulfed the entire nation.
The newly elected Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Lesotho, Tsokoane Matakene, has been sworn at a colorful ceremony held in Maseru today. President Hakainde Hichilema of Zambia was among other presidents that included Makwetsi Masisi of Botswana, Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa, and Hage Geingob of Namibia, among others that attended the swearing ceremony. Mr. Matakane took oath of office before the country's Chief Justice, Sakaone, at the 20,000 capacity Setsoto Stadium, which was filled up. The swearing-in ceremony was also witnessed by the King of the Kingdom of Lesotho, Letsi III. Outgoing Prime Minister Moeketsi Majoro said he was handing over power peacefully as a way of promoting democracy and peace in Lesotho. He has since advised the new Prime Minister to seek guidance from God, especially around this time when the Kingdom of Lesotho is facing financial difficulties. He also thanked the international community for the support given to him during the time he was Prime Minister of Lesotho. SADC facilitator of Lesotho, Cyril Ramaphosa, who is President of South Africa, congratulated the Basotho people for their commitment to peace and unity and for taking part in peaceful elections that were won by Mr. Matakane. Mazabuka District Administrative Officer in Southern Province, Timothy Mlenga, has assured local residents that government is on course in addressing the nutrition challenges which are currently low. Speaking during a World Food Programme funded Eat Well debate which is implemented by Self-Help Africa SHA and Mazabuka, Mr. Mlenga highlighted that government introduced the Food and Nutrition Act in 2020, which is proof of its commitment to addressing nutritional challenges. He adds that the formation of the National Food and Nutrition Commission, NFNC, also ensures that the issues to do with nutrition are coordinated. And Mazabuka District Education Board Secretary, Christacia Malinga Mwale, appreciated SHA for their efforts in teaching learners how to identify and produce nutritious foods. She is confident that activities will help improve literacy levels, observing that good nutrition improves attendance and attention span among learners. The Ministry of Education, in collaboration with Self-Help Africa SHA under the Eat Well program, Friday hosted a special debate on nutrition at St. Patrick's School in Mazabuka.
We see partners like Self-Help Africa, World Food Programme, coming on board would get really excited because they are also partners in ensuring that this effort to deal with the aspect of nutrition as a nation is something that they're going to achieve. We have partnered with us. Nutrition is very important. It's not, as Dave mentioned, it's not just about eating anything, but how much, first of all, what are we eating?
Their main area of concern is to make sure that our learners are able to identify good foods and produce good, nutritious foods in their gardens. As Minister of Education, guest of honor, we believe that health eating by our learners gives good health. It also increases attendance. It also increases attention span.
International and sports news coming through right after this break.
In our quest to save nations and develop Africa, Savenda is investing in the agriculture sector so as to produce supply for both local and international markets, housing over 12,000 pullets that are nurtured and fed with our locally made stock feed that comes from our own locally grown maize and soya beans, all processed from our recently installed milling and mixing plant. Our over 95,000 layers have an output capacity of over 1,500 trays of fresh eggs per day that are carefully selected and packaged for all the leading stores and supermarkets nationwide. Our greenhouses are fitted with the latest irrigation system, and the seedlings are nurtured to ensure only healthy plants reach the fields. With our deliberate planting schedule, we are better placed to supply constantly without interruption, thus reliable. Savenda Farms is also changing lives of its dedicated workforce drawn from the local community and beyond. So the next time you think fresh and green, think Savenda Farms.
For immediate
coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Welcome back now, getting into our international item. At least 6 school children from 3 different schools tested positive for the Ebola virus in Kampala, Uganda, with one of them losing the battle to the disease that has been on the rise in the country. Ugandan Minister for Health, Dr. Jane Ruth Aseng, told journalists on Wednesday 6 children who hail from the same neighborhood were from an earlier contact that succumbed to the virus. Meanwhile, South Africa and Spain enjoy warm relations and have cooperations in the areas of education, science and technology, defense, arts and culture, and sports. Here's a roundup of international news.
At least 6 school children tested positive for the Ebola virus in Uganda's capital, with one of them succumbing to the disease, whose cases have been on the rise in the country. The children are from 3 different schools which have been placed under lockdown. The Health Ministry has said the cases were contacts of a victim who died from the disease.
It is true that we have one case. Unfortunately, as I speak right now, this child passed on yesterday evening. Unfortunate. Of course, before the child passed on, the KCCA medical team was here to ensure that they put in place what the Ministry of Health requested for, to ensure that we can curb the spread of the Ebola.
The outbreak has sent fear among the communities surrounding the schools. The heads of the schools say they have had to deal with increasing levels of stigma since the positive cases were identified.
We are becoming a nuisance to the community. People are fearing coming closer to us. When they see you, they run away. They think you have Ebola. So the ministry should, together with the government, do a lot to sensitize the public.
The Health Ministry has blamed the escalation of the virus on Ugandans who are shying away from hospitals. This shopkeeper says she's had to reduce contact with the school children for fear of catching the virus.
I stopped serving those eats, and whoever is coming to buy something, I be far away from that person.
The Ugandan government declared an Ebola outbreak in the central district of Mubende on September 20th after a 24-year-old man tested positive.
South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa and visiting Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez have agreed to strengthen bilateral relations between their countries. Ramaphosa told reporters at a joint news conference with Sanchez on Thursday that there was consensus between the 2 countries about the effects of climate change on the continent.
South Africa and Spain agree that climate change, the loss of biological diversity and other environmental challenges must be addressed within the context of sustainable development, particularly for those who are in areas that are vulnerable and will be negatively affected by the transition that we foresee.
Prime Minister Sanchez said now more than ever, Spain was determined to deepen its relations with the African continent as the two shared many common challenges. And specifically, we are going to make available to South Africa an amount of up to $2.3 million over the next 5 years. This figure will be channeled through our different public funding instruments and with the aim of accompanying Spanish companies in the implementation of the development plans of the South African government. South Africa and Spain enjoy warm relations and have cooperations in the areas of education, science and technology, defense, arts and culture, and sports.
Let's take a look at what we have in our sports news. Green Buffaloes Women FC coach Charles Halubono is looking forward to the 2022 CAF Women's Champions League opener against Determined Girls FC of Liberia on 30th October 2022.
We expect a lot from our girls because we know what is at stake. Yes, our plan is to go through the group stage, then we can start thinking ahead of that. Yes, the most important game in the tournament is the first game. We should go in focused and highly determined. We know we are playing a very good side, determined girls, as the name says, yes. But we'll put aside all these things to go in and produce the desired results. We have prepared well. I think, yeah, we are ready for the task. The information I've gotten is that they have acquired more players, like what we have done. So I don't think it will be the same players I've been watching for some time. So we are expecting changes. But what we did was to plan for every game and stick to our game plan, the style of play which we have adopted. Yeah, it's a motivation and looking at what our sponsors have put in, they've put in a lot, and we thank FAS for their support as well, who have given us a good amount of money to support the army. So it is up to us now to try by all means to pay back to the army and the association for whatever they have done for us. So that is the first objective. They have done everything for us. The team was camped nicely. So we have to fight hard and pay back through winning and getting the money. Yes. Okay. The positive attitude from them, and the most important thing on our part is to take note of the weather, how the weather will be at 17 hours. That will give us a clear picture of what we are going to face on Sunday.
That sports item brings us to the end of Camnet TV main news, but before we go, here are the headlines once again. 8 candidates eye the Patriotic Front presidency. Abductors of the 13 girls have been officially slapped with charges. Police advised against human rights violation when enforcing the Public Order Act. In international news, school children in Uganda test positive for Ebola. And in sports, Green Buffaloes geared for the CAF Women's Champions League. Our Camnet verse of the day is coming from the book of John 1 verse 5, and it reads, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." Thank you for watching. I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Pleasant viewing.